Hello from the Yarn Closet in St. David, Arizona. Yarn Closet AZ for Arizona on Instagram. The Yarn Closet over on Patreon. And on our Patreon page, you can follow for free. And there are many free downloads of patterns for knitting, crocheting, loom knitting, what to do with a sock tube. And someday, oh, someday, there might be some machine knitting available. Here, I'm going to do this a little different. Can I do this a little different? Does that help? Is that better? Yeah. Why didn't you tell me last time that my hair sucked and was totally like staticky? Totally sucked and was staticky. So this is the, what I like to call my yoga sweater. That's not the best of the sleeves, but this, oops, where is it? Yeah, this is where I had to do all that duplicate stitch that I really didn't do very well at all. This is that Mayflower yarn from Hobby. Can you see that? Yeah, not so good. It's a wool cotton mix, and I really like it for Arizona, although I do live in a place where we actually have winter. And boy, my hair looks sucky today. I've decided, since my 6-year-old, soon to be 6, next weekend, since my 6-year-old is now very interested in like drying her hair and using products so that she doesn't have the snarls, and having like matching barrettes and braids and like different do's that I just can't get away with not. So I have ordered a few things. I've ordered the old-fashioned Conair hair dryer that's like straight and flat and then has brush attachments, because I have the newfangled one, but those are super loud and really kind of hot. So I'm hoping that the old-fashioned Conair variety is more kid-friendly, because it really was nice to blow dry it and not really have to deal with the snarls for a couple of days, 2-3 days at a crack. And she likes it because she actually likes having straight hair. I would kill to have her curly hair, but whatever. Isn't that always the way it goes? I think all the other girls in her class have straight hair, so that's part of it too. So yeah, this sweater was made on a LK150 knitting machine. That is a 6.5 millimeter knitting machine with 150 needles, stitches. I used 100 because I took 50 needles out and added it to another machine. So I have one machine that's 100 and one machine that's 200. So I used all 100, went so many stitches, then I stopped and I worked one front, and then I went back and I worked the other front, and then I added the sleeves, and they are seamed on the underside. So I added them right to, and just seamed it. And then I seamed down the sides. That was a bit of a trick. They're not quite even. But also this is quite long. This is, I think, one of the longer things that I've made. I've made a couple long things, but I also like my new couch because I have nice handrails. It's very flat. I can set a cup of coffee on it. I can set my arm on it, but that doesn't help my shoulder and the whole knitting kink business. Here's my magenta Tuffy. It's a Briggs & Little yarn. I get it directly from Maritime Family Fibers. And I am making a pair of these slipper socks for my daughter. I also have a heating pad on my tummy. Hey, will you go get the thing that I'm crocheting on the side table in Prue's room? So Prue, my daughter, has spent the last couple nights with Grandma and Grandpa. Um, one here in St. David and then one up in Tucson. So I was sleeping in her room because she has a cat, an 18-year-old cat that tends to sleep in there with her. And so I didn't want it to be alone. And then Chip and Rusty will sleep with me. And now that she's got a full-size bed, it's very convenient. But I realized that her pillows are a lot thicker than mine. So 2 nights in there really did cause me a little necky issue today. Melange. I think this is called Melange from Lion Brand. I'm not getting up to find the tag. I have 2 skeins. I was doing the linen stitch and I was doing okay and I was turning every row, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I missed where I connected, and then I was so taken aback by the book I was listening to that I just kept going in the round. So that's why it's kind of wonky. But I love the colors so much that I'm just continuing on, and each skein has like over 600 yards. And I'm going to actually make 2 squares, put them together, and make a little top. And maybe one square will end up being straight and flat, and then this can be the back. I don't know. What do I care? I just think it's beautiful, and I got it from a friend here who, she's goofy. I love her. I never thought I'd have a friend like her. She's cool and beautiful, and I mean, like, we're talking gorgeous. And just so helpful. And I don't know what I would have done without her so far. So what I'm doing is the linen stitch, or sometimes moss stitch, in crochet. So basically, you do a single crochet and then a chain, and then you do the single crochet like in the chain hole, the hole that the chain makes. So it's very easy for those of you who don't really crochet but like have started doing granny square things. Well, once again, this is also a stitch that'll give you a little something different, and you don't have to look for the right spot. It's just the hole that the chain makes. So I'm working on that. You want to know why I started working on that? I was first going to make a shawl because she also got me some of this Yarn Bee yarn. I don't use a ton of acrylic, but I like having acrylic because it makes really, I think, the best little kid things. If you want to give a mom something she can throw in the washer dryer. So I finished these and I blocked them and left them outside to lay flat to dry. Okay. They shrunk minusculely, and then I've been wearing this one for about 24 hours. I noticed that it's a little bit long, like it doesn't fit quite the way I want, so I tend to fold it over a little. But I am wearing it without a sock under, and so I think that's also part of it. Like if I had a sock underneath it, I wouldn't be doing that. Okay, so here we go. Blocked. Do you see the difference between blocked and not worn? So just washed and then washed in the washing machine and then laid flat to dry. Okay, and then the one in back is the one that I've worn. So my foot has stretched it out. There is nylon, so it does fit snugly, even though I fold this down a little bit. I like shorty socks. If I have something that's tight around even the lowest part of my calf, I tend to get marks, and it bothers me. Okay. So that was one skein of the Tuffy sock yarn from Briggs & Little, and the people who sell it online is Maritime Family Fiber. It comes in 4 ounces, 113, 115 grams. It's an 80-20 blend. So I believe it's 215 yards, okay? So when I knit this pair, I had this much left, okay? Like I could make a whole set of baby slippers out of this. Or like a wool purse for a little girl. Then I crocheted a pair and had just this much left. I'm telling you, this is less than half of what this is. And now I will show you the crochet pair. And I did exactly what I said I was going to do. It ended up being about 40 stitches with a 3.5 millimeter needle, crocheted, single crochet, back and forth, made a rectangle. Then I combined it, reduced 2 stitches, and then I just did single crochet in the round. Now, oddly enough, because of the, what do you want to call it? The density of the fabric, this feels slightly more dense, but remember, it takes more yardage to create the same size of something in crochet. So the fabric in and of itself is slightly thicker than the fabric that you get from the knitting. Now, that's not as, like it feels very similar, although there are those in-between light plots. This is about the same thickness, but this part is definitely thicker. So I think this will wear quite a bit better. And all I did was decrease on each side like I would for a toe for a sock. And I think it gave a very similar shape. I just didn't have to decrease as many. These have not been blocked or dried. And I did a single crochet on the back to seam them. Instead of just a slip stitch, I did an actual single crochet. It gives it a little bit more density. Ooh, that is super nice. And it's a little bit warmer. It's a little bit snugger. There's not as much give, because remember that you do actually get a fair amount of stretch with this garter. It doesn't bother me in the least. It doesn't feel nubby. It doesn't feel bumpy. It's really nice. And guess what? The knit pair took me about 3 weeks. The crochet pair took me 2 days. 2 days, people. 2 days. If you're really concerned about the fact that these aren't as stretchy and therefore as fit-giving, remember that the yarn has some stretch because of the nylon. You can make this section a little bit bigger and make a strap and like a button, like a strap that's a buttonhole and then a button on the other side. So it can be a little bit more Mary Jane-esque. So you just wouldn't do as much of this, you'd do more of this. It's totally up to you, but that's quite an easy thing. I do have both of my sizes written down and like stitch counts and all that. So I'm going to type them up and I'm going to put them in a publicly available entry on the Patreon page so you can download it if you're interested. Wow, these really are comfy. Oh my gosh, I really like that. Um, so I will do that. I will throw some pictures in there as well. And so go over to the Yarn Closet on Patreon. Feel free to subscribe to help support us. You will get some extra entries on that everybody else doesn't have access to. And there is some occasional gift giving, depending on what level you're at, especially if you support at a level that asks for your address. Nobody claimed the last winning stuff, so I sent one of those prizes off to one of the Patreons. And that's certainly a thing that happens. This is not the first time that that's happened. So it pays to be a Patreon, a patron. And what else? What else, people? What else? I don't know. I don't know. I remember. Okay, this is the thing. My hair, my god awful hair. Text from my mother. I don't know why she feels the need to give me a play-by-play. Actually, I do. I have nephews who are like 30 and 32, and she hasn't seen them in like 20, 25 years. So I get a lot of play-by-play when my kids are with her. And I think that that is a sad state of affairs, and it happens with many family these days. You know, people end up very widespread, and not everybody's in the business of flying, especially not these days, or being able to travel back and forth. So families lose touch. You can also have family members nowadays who are more willing to break, make boundaries. So, you know, it is what it is. And somebody's got to tell the fat squirrel about the linen stitch and crochet. Okay, once again. Okay, here, I'm just going to do it like this. Sorry, I always forget which side the camera's on. I'm not actually raising my eyebrows. The way that it looks wrinkly is just the way it ended up working out. Remember how this was really like took away some of my wrinkles? Well, guess what? It's starting to soften again here. Look, this is white. Oh my gosh, this is white. So anyway, I don't actually wash my hair every day. I don't actually do my hair every day because I don't wear makeup every day because I live in the country, because I don't see people very often. But I will tell you that I find it depressing as all get out to look in the mirror at myself these days at nearly 50. We are months away. And how my hair just doesn't do what I want it to do. All I want it to do is be straight and nice. So in conjunction with getting my daughter all this extra stuff, I think that I'm going to make an effort to start doing my hair a little bit more. Because even if I just rinse it down and blow dry it every day, it has more life to it. You know, and Brad Mondo would tell you, you need product. I've not been a product person the majority of my life. But I think maybe now I should. And I am starting to feel like this is not softness anymore, that having this scar, I'm not jumping to conclusions. I'm giving it time. But I am starting to feel like maybe I need to have like a chunkier layer that's a little bit longer so I've got more movement around my face. But it's got to be something that I can still pull back. And bangs are always sketchy with me because I have the colics and because my hair is very thin. So if it's too light, then it just looks thinner. You know what I mean? It actually works very well for me to have just one length blunt cut hair. But, I can't help but look at the occasional picture of Nicole Kidman and think, I could do that. I could totally do that. Forgetting that she fixes her hair every day. I don't. So I would have to start doing that. Whatever. Ridiculous. It's the catch-22. I really don't want to have to spend the time or the energy, but would it make me feel better? Yes. And that should matter, and blah, 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 blah. So, what are your feelings on that? I mean, my mom still probably does her makeup 3 times a week, does her hair 3 to 4 times a week. And she's like almost can't see anything blind. So it's much harder for her. I just grew up in a household where my mom and my sister spent an inordinate amount of time in the bathroom with curlers and makeup and fixing things. And I always just thought, like, you're making us wait. It's crazy. And it made me feel insecure because I always felt like I never measured up. And now at my age, I had some years free of that. And now I'm like 20 years. Okay, I have 20 years. That's a good chunk of time. But now I'm feeling it again because of the age. I actually watched my last podcast. I don't always watch my podcasts, other than the little bit of editing that I might do. And if someone knows how to make a like a header snippet of a video with some cute little music and it says the Yarn Closet with some cute little background, go for it. I would love you. And then send it to me. theyarncloset@yahoo.com. Yeah, I'm feeling that way again. So I don't know. It's kind of a challenge. It's good that your kids always think you're beautiful. That helps a lot. It really does. And of course, I'm now having to walk the dogs in groups, so I can't do them all together because of Sadie. So I don't walk her every day, and when I do walk her, it's much shorter because her legs she'll start to trip in her back legs, scrape her fingernails, kind of thing. And I mean, Chip is a little guy, so if I just walk at a clip, even a short walk is a good workout for him. I can't keep Rusty at like a clip because he's too big, but I can take him longer. So that's been kind of how it's worked. I tend to do a shorter chunk with maybe Sadie and Chip and then a longer one with Rusty. My daughter and I have been doing short walks before school starts just to help get some of her springtime energy out. I feel like that's the nice thing I can do for her teacher because that kid just is energy abounding. Makes me truly wonder what summer's going to be like. So I am going to continue to do some slippers. My daughter said she wanted a pair. I don't know why I'm knitting her pair and not crocheting it. Because she said, I like these, and it was the knitted pair. Well, that's not to say she would really know the difference between the two and be so much faster. But whatever. Could be a subconscious desire to not use as much yarn because I don't tend to keep a ton of pinks around. And then I have some extra pink for something else. And it's not like she's actually going to wear them. They all want the yarn stuff, but they rarely ever wear the yarn stuff. But I still feel really good about giving away yarn stuff, even if people don't use it. I still think that, that they like getting it. And then they can feel good about regifting it to somebody else. Who knows? People are so funny. So I'm going to do a pair of these in pink for her. I'm going to do a bunch more crochet pairs for me and potentially other people for gifts for next winter. Because I think that what's going to pull me through this summer is like some crochet projects and smaller knitting projects. I've got some knitted tubes that I'm going to make into fingerless gloves. And I'm going to make myself a pair of yoga socks. Because I think I need to start out the yoga again. I'm just feeling too tight. Everything's getting too tight. So that's smaller projects. And I do like these fingerless gloves I've been making without a thumb, just a thumb hole, because then you can shove them on more easily just to cover your arm and your wrist when you don't actually want it on your hand and you don't actually have that extra thumb sticking out. And like I said, I might do some baby things. Did you hear that? Chip's having a dream. He's sleeping. He's having a dream. And that's, I think, what's going to carry me through the summer. And why are you wondering, am I on summer when it's just August? Well, because Connor finished school 5 weeks early this year. I am very, very proud of him. The last couple of years, it's been 3 or 4 weeks early, but 5 weeks was just kind of amazing. And it really didn't even feel like he was pushing it. Everybody's grades have been affected this year. I happen to know a number of people who have kids that are actually failing out in school districts where they've had to be online this whole time and where they've had to do like the 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. online business, which personally I think is ridiculous. A bad day of school is when my son is on the computer for 5 hours. I mean, it's very unusual for it to be over that 5-hour mark. It's usually, the 3-hour mark. There have been a couple of days here recently that he's been on for maybe 6, 7. But I think it was because he had the end in sight and he just wanted to be done with it. Because now he's got 5 weeks where his sister's in school and he's not. And she only goes 4 days a week, and they decided that next year they will continue with a 4-day-a-week school schedule, which I think is great. I don't think kids need to be in school 5 days a week. She'll be in school for an extra half an hour every day. But I don't think they'll be even doing any online things on Fridays, which will be nice, because right now she does a few online things. And if we didn't have to do that, that'd be fabulous, because that's just a pain in the butt. I mean, she's in kindergarten. They have no patience for the electronic oopses. It freaks them out. It adds extra stress and tension. And honestly, I just don't know that it's truly called for. I think 4 days on, 3 days off is great for younger kids, especially. And I am looking forward to seeing what my son chooses for his first high school year, because there'll be some choice involved in classes. We'll have to start looking at a bigger picture, and I think that's going to be really interesting. He will have to take one more class a year. Like instead of having a 5-course day, he'll have a 6-course day. Does that make sense? Although in his online schedule, it's Liberty University Online Academy. Not every day do you always have all 6 things. I mean, there's a lot of days where you have 4 or 5 things. There's some days where you have all 6. But then there's the scattered days where you might have 2 or 3 because you're doing projects in another 2. And so you're having to like decide your own amount of effort in those that day, if that makes any sense. I also love the fact that he can work ahead. For the most part, he hasn't even worked on Fridays this year because his sister didn't, and he didn't want to be working while she was home. Because there's a 7-year age gap, and she'll bug him, and he's got Asperger's, and then that bugs him even more. So I think it's been really, really nice. If you've got a kid that you think can cope with at-home learning and has enough social outlets in other things that you do, I definitely think it's a great option. I know that mine is tuition-based. We do pay a tuition. But there are other options you can look into that don't. You just have to be very clear about if you want that flexibility. Because I've got some nieces who do an online program, but they're very tied into the schedule that the online school sets. So it's certain hours of certain days they have to be locked into that computer, and that is monitored. So I don't find that as nice. It also makes it more difficult if they ever want to try to work ahead. Now, the caveat is said, well, if you go on vacation, you can always bring your computer with you, and they can do their few hours a day, whatever. But I think it's just really nice to be able to do that work ahead and have full days off if you've got something going on. And that's my little 2 bits. Are you looking forward to your school situation next year? What are you filling their time with this summer? We've got my son involved in something Boy Scout-esque. It's 1 hour on Wednesday evenings, and then once a month it's mostly like outdoor spaced, that thing we do now, socially distanced to some extent. If they're inside, they wear masks. They may even wear the masks outside for some of the events. And that 1 hour a week may be like service. One day they were pulling weeds. This next week they each have to bring like an outdoor skill that they can teach each other. And then I think the week after that is a single overnight camping trip with the dads. And I think there's one longer trip this summer. And over the summer, they'll have some hikes that they'll go on. Not just the 1 hour in the evening, but possibly changing some hours. And they'll do some hikes over the summer. So that'll be neat. And he's really liking it. There's another kid that he met that he's like, oh, we're like the same, but exactly different. If you've got a kid on the spectrum, you understand. And I just think that's brilliant. And it just means so much for me to be able to have that time to see that in him. Not exactly sure what we're going to do with my daughter, if I can talk my husband into driving her over to Aunt Donna's. She might go over to Aunt Donna's occasionally. Aunt Donna does daycare for younger kids in like preschool age. So like 3 and 4 or 2 to 4 kind of thing, 2 to 5. So my daughter's a little bit older than those kids, but she's related to half of them, and she's quite the happy little helper. And Aunt Donna is one of those saint-like people. So I'm hoping we can do a little bit of that this summer. And we do have a few neighbors that we've met from riding the bus that have kids the same age, so there might be some get-togethers in that realm. I hope to be able to sit out in my screened-in porch if our crazy winds slow down. We've been having really heavy winds this year, and it's Arizona. I mean, it's dusty. And that's not good for my eyes and my allergies. So we'll see. But these are for her. So it is going pretty quick, I would say, in the realm of knitting versus crochet at her size level. She wears in the adult sizes, she wears a 1. She wears a 1. Depending on the brand, she might get into it too, like if it's a narrow brand. Which is just crazy. She's just over 4 feet tall. She's not quite to 4.5, but she's just over 48 inches tall. She's wearing a size 8 predominantly, and she turned 6 in 1 week. Can't believe it. It's gone so fast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for commenting. Really need the friend time, and it means so much to me. Hi, Irene. Hi, Mo. Hi, Granny D. Hi, Pat. Okay, are there any other fast little crochet projects you can think of? Share them with me. Go over to the Patreon. I'll have that thing posted up here. If not right now, in the next few days. So look with your heart first, and I will put on some of those stinking Nicole Kidman pictures after this. Good gravy, that woman. So tempting. You tell me whether or not you think I could carry off actually doing it. See, I'm not sure I can actually carry off even blow drying my hair every day. Because, there are plenty of days it doesn't even look like I brush it. I do. It doesn't look like it, but I do. Oh, and thank you. Yes, I am donating that black top from the last podcast because that was a little too tight. I'm glad I watched that episode. So everything that gets worn out or I donate is one item of clothing closer to minimalist uniform wardrobe. I'm almost sure I know what it will consist of. Jeans, Massimo, size 6, 8, or 10, curvy boot cut, regular. There's a Massimo denim capri that I like to wear. I know capris are not flattering on most women, but I live in Arizona. It gets hot in the summer. I need the air movement. So those would be the jeans, and then some green khaki, like cargo pants and cargo capris. Then Coolabar cardigans, because I like the material, I like the flow, I like the weight of it. And I'm at that age where layering works well, so I can be taking things on and off. And then I like the Coolabar tank tops because they cover up more of this, because this is old lady creping. It's getting damaged. I need to have something that's more like up here. And then Coolabar also has the shrugs that have a little bit of a turtleneck collar that's made out of the same kind of material. So if you're wearing a tank top and you want to put sleeves on and cover your shoulders and your neck a little bit more, you can. And it doesn't add the bulk and the heat. So I think that that would be my uniform with the tank tops and the cardigans. Then some of my knit cardigans, the fingerless gloves in the wintertime, because it's definitely a thing. My hand knit slippers and socks, because I definitely need to go wool there. And, oh, my turtlenecky wool things, my infinity scarves and cowls. My actual clothing would be very simple, solid colors. I like the light grays, light taupes. In the Coolabar things for summertime, I like the black. In the winter, winter could just be me in black and then whatever color the knitwear is. So that's kind of the direction I'm going. Let's see how long it takes me to get there. I just can't take everything but those items out of my wardrobe and donate it, because I would literally be left with 5 tank tops. I have 2 black Coolabar cardigans. They're 2 different sizes. I have a gray taupey Coolabar cardigan, and I have a white long sleeve shrug from Coolabar. I can't do it. I can't do it. So we'll see how long it takes for me to whittle it down to that, and whatever else I end up keeping. I think I would keep a few long-sleeved, like cotton long-sleeved shirts. And when they are lower like this, and they're the cotton long sleeve, they're the crew neck, but a lot of times they're lower here, I'll actually wear them backwards. You can't tell the way they do the tags nowadays. And then my hair just covers up the skin and back. It works fine. People, jump out of the box. You can do it. Okay, look with your heart first. We'll talk again in like 2 weeks. I'm hoping to have a little bit more accomplished and maybe some more solid goals for the summer. Okay, thanks. Hello from the Yarn Closet in St. David, Arizona. I'm Laura, Yarn Closet AZ on Instagram, the Yarn Closet over on Patreon. You can get free downloads on the Patreon and follow us for free. I have a recent just typed up, I talked about it last time, the slippers people, the slippers. So today I just wanted to jump on quickly and chat for a minute, and then I'm going to have a few other sections in this week's update. Do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see this? I went back to some layers around my face because I do cut my own hair because I can't get out to go to a hairstylist. And you see, I actually put some makeup on today. Filled in my eyebrows a little bit of lipstick, just a little bit of eyeliner in the corners, and some eyeshadow. Yep, I've decided, and I actually used product. It feels so good, and the product I use smells fabulous when you first put it on, but then it kind of dissipates quickly. It's Brad Mondo, X Mondo. I got Glitterati because it's a shine and heat protectant. And I was concerned because I thought, glitter, oh God, you can't see any glitter. You can't see any. But it does make a difference. And I have started to wet down my hair around my face and blow dry it every day. So I'm feeling a bit more put together, kind of like back in the days when Laura had a job. It was like, a more functioning person. I know mothers give the best to society because we give the people, but we're not made to feel that way, are we? So yeah, so this is my How to Combat 50. It's called Product and Actually Doing Your Hair Every Day. Oh my God. Right? Isn't that sad? That is so sad. Okay. And I'm on my second wonky square in the linen stitch. And here's the deal. I didn't go back and forth, back and forth. I just went wonky. So I'm doing it in the round. And it's actually not as wonky as it kind of looks. It actually looks better, I think, than the other one. And it's not as tilted as the other one. But yeah, I'm going to finish that. And I'm going to make a little t-shirt style sweater with them. And if it's not quite wide enough, then I might do a little something as I attach the two pieces to give it a little bit more, space between the two, like an extra little chunk. And that's all I know. Oh my gosh, look at how much better I look. You can't even see the little smiley face. Okay, you totally can. But this does help, minimize it. I know. It'll probably be gone altogether in 6 months, and this stuff will be grown out in 6 months, so who cares? But sometimes you have to just think about today and do the thing that makes you feel good today, right? Totally right. Okay, gotta run, but I'll be back for a couple more sections.